Bonjour. As I said, direct object pronouns are one of the most important things that you learned this year. I also told you that it's one of the most difficult concepts to comprehend. So many of you did a great job, but we're going to go through thoroughly in case you have a breakdown in understanding so that you can come back and watch this video if you're not sure. Step one, I said to know your parts of speech. Cool. So we talked about nouns and verbs in class. Verbs are obviously actions, states, or feelings. D'accord? Nouns, person, place, thing, or abstract idea. That is information I expect you to already know. But you do have to know parts of speech beyond that. You have to know types of nouns as well as the words pronoun and noun phrase. D'accord? A noun phrase is a group of words that includes an article. It includes a core noun and sometimes adjectives. D'accord? A subject is a noun phrase. D'accord? So you say, for example, the big happy dog. That is a noun phrase. Now, let's say a subject is what the sentence is stating something about. The sentence is about that. So if I say the big happy dog slobbers, we're making a statement about the subject. Big happy dog is the noun phrase. It's the subject of that sentence. A direct object is also a noun phrase. Cool. It's a noun phrase that's the target of the action or feeling of the verb. So in the case of an action, I pet the big happy dog. Cool. That's the object of my action, petting. Cool. I love the big happy dog. That's the target of my feeling, love. So it's I like to say it's the target of the petting. It's the target of the love. It's the object. D'accord? The direct object. So you can call it the target if you want. A pronoun is a word that we can use instead of a noun phrase. D'accord? And it references a previously mentioned noun phrase. So I might say, I see a big happy dog. I want to pet him. D'accord? That him is a pronoun. What's it referring to? Obviously, big happy dog. D'accord? Or he is so cute. Still talking about that big happy dog. All right. So you have to know noun, phrase, subject, direct object, and pronoun. D'accord? Step two is know how to identify subjects and objects by their function. D'accord? So remember, I like to say that subjects, that we square them because they're the sentence starters. D'accord? So square the subject, the sentence starter. D'accord? And you can draw a little square around it. Now, how do we find those subjects? Well, there's no mystery here. If it's the sentence starter, it goes at the start of the sentence. I'm not trying to be tricky, and grammar is not tricky. It's logical. So when I say it's the sentence starter, look to the start of the sentence for that subject. What is the sentence about when I say j'aime mon chien? I love my dog. It's about me. I love my dog. I'm making a statement about me. D'accord? So that's obviously the start of the sentence. Same when I say je t'aime. D'accord? I love you. I'm making a statement still about me. I'm the central topic of the sentence. I love you. Cool. All right. So the second thing I like to do is owe the object. Cool. In other words, the object was the target of our action. We're going to put a target around it. We're going to draw a circle. Cool. So what is the object of any of these sentences? Well, look for the action or the feeling. Cool. That's the verb, which we'll get to in a second. In every single one of these sentences, it's love. Cool. So what is the target of the love? Well, in the first sentence, j'aime mon chien, my dog, is the target of love. That entire thing is the object, the direct object, because the direct object can be a noun phrase. Now, you shark tooth underline, oh, I forgot, I love you, je t'aime. What's the target of the action? D'accord? It's te or you. Now, sentence starters are always at the beginning of the sentence, but you see here that the objects change in French. They're not going to be in the place necessarily that we expect them all the time in English. In English, objects always go after the verb. Here, that's not the case. D'accord? J'aime mon chien. If it's the same pattern as English. However, je t'aime, using a pronoun, it switches before the verb. D'accord? Now, the verbs are easy to find. That's your action. D'accord? Or feeling. J'aime, je t'aime, I love, I love. D'accord? Now, step 3, that's the next thing we need to look at, is memorizing these pronouns, and you're going to have to study them as vocabulary. D'accord? So we're going to start with your subject pronouns. D'accord? In French, you should know these all. You've got je, means I. You've got nous, means we. Well, these are sentence starters, remember? We goes at the beginning of a sentence. And you know that these are sentence starters in French because you see them in your verb conjugation boxes, right? And I've got posters hanging in my classroom that you guys can see. So tu means you, that's the singular familiar. And you've got vous means you in the plural, or formal. Remember, it can be plural or formal. You've also got il, means he. Il with an S means they. Elle means she. And oops, I made a mistake. He or it. It means both of those things. Same with she or it. Elle with an S means they as well. In French, they specify with groups. If it's a group of all female things, you need to use elle. And notice I say female things because it's for objects too. So if I'm talking about tables, oh, elles sont belles. D'accord? Those are beautiful tables. They are beautiful. D'accord? And the last one is on. On, you can know for now is one. Truthfully, French people use it to mean we, but it's still conjugated like il and elle. Even though it can mean we, you do not conjugate it like nous. So it's a little different than you might expect. All right, let's look at direct object pronouns because those were new to you the other day. So direct object pronouns, you've got in French me or M apostrophe. Oh. You've got, and that means me. You've got nous. And remember, I said in French, there's no way to say ourselves. You have to say we love us. If you want to say we love ourselves, nous nous aimons. Nous nous aimons. Just like that. So that means us, not we. You've got te, or T apostrophe, and that means you. Notice it means you on both sides. Tu means you and te means you. Because you can say, you love me, I love you. We don't change the word you in terms of what it sounds like. D'accord? You serves different functions there. One time it's a subject, one time it's an object, but we don't change the word for whatever reason, even though we change I and me and we and us, etc. D'accord? So vous also means you. And you can say vous vous aimez, y'all love yourselves. D'accord? Or nous vous aimons, we love you. All right, next is le or L apostrophe. That means him, d'accord? Or it. And then you've got les. Les means they. There is no masculine, feminine. It's just les means they. D'accord? Je les aime. I love them. D'accord? And then the feminine is la or L apostrophe, and that means her or it. D'accord? Then I did give you se as well, and I said we wouldn't talk about se, although I told you already know se. Se means oneself, himself, herself, etc. You don't use it with je. You would say, for example, je m'appelle, I call myself. However, how do you say he calls himself or his name is? That's what you're literally saying is he calls himself. Il s'appelle. D'accord? Il s'appelle. All right, let's move on. So Step 4 is once you have that vocab is to know that word order changes. So when you're making sentences, you've got to be on the lookout. Am I using a pronoun? D'accord? If you're using a pronoun in French, that's when syntax changes. So we can go through this pretty quickly. You've got, for example, French with a noun. Well, let's look at the English sentences first. I love TV series. Boom. D'accord? We know our subjects are our sentence starters. They're the first thing right away. And when I look at j'adore les séries and je les adore, same thing. Sentence starters are the start of the sentence. No trick there. Okay. Let's look for the verb, the feeling or action next. You've got adore. Boom, 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 boom. You've got love. Boom, 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 boom. And you've got love, which means you've got adore in this third bit. That's the action or feeling. Now that's bizarre because looking at the other three sentences, you already see that it doesn't follow the same pattern. So let's circle the object. You've got TV series as an object. Okay. You've got them is an object. Okay. Remember, one is a noun phrase, one's a pronoun. Okay. Here we see then the verb or the word order in English is always the same. We always like our subject, then verb, then object. It doesn't matter if we're using a noun phrase or pronouns. So that means we've got S, subject, V, verb, O, object, order. SVO order is what we call it in linguistics. So if you remember that English is SVO, French changes. D'accord? So when you're using a full noun phrase, j'adore les séries. I love TV series. D'accord? So when using a full noun phrase, it's the same as English, SVO. However, the important thing to remember here is that the word order changes here. D'accord? And you should have done this on your own. D'accord? In class, but you can go ahead and do it now. Je les adore. Les is the object. D'accord? It's the target of the action. That means you've got SOV order suddenly. SOV instead of SVO. So you have to know that with DOPs, French is SOV. With direct object pronouns, DOPs, French is subject, object, verb, SOV. DOP has SOV. Okay? All right. So go through and make sure you find the object in each of those and circle it. Step 5 is to know that that pronouns reference a noun phrase. So when you're speaking in a conversation and you use the words he or him, she or her, we or us, you're referencing someone, or something. So if I ask you, est-ce que tu manges le poulet? And you want to say, yeah, I eat it. To say it, you have to know something in French about chicken. In English, we just have to know that chicken is not a person. So we don't say, yeah, I eat him or I eat her. You say, I eat it. In French, you don't have to know if it's a person or not. You have to know if it's masculine or feminine. So look at le poulet. Est-ce que tu manges le poulet? Oui, je le mange. I, it, eat. Also, just a quick tip and trick. You can more easily remember this if you overlay it in your head with, how do you say it in English? So I, it, eat. If you remember that is kind of bizarre and that's how the French say it, oh yeah, they say I, it, eat, or I, her, love, or I, them, hate. Cool. That's going to help you remember that it's got to be different in French. So don't be afraid to use your English and overlay it. It's a technique called interlang. Interlanguage. You're taking a step between your two languages that you're learning to help you learn the second one. All right. Qu'est-ce que tu penses de ma chemise? If you want to say I hate it, what do you have to know about shirt? Not like in English that it's an object, but in French that it's masculine or feminine. So here you have feminine. Now, make sure you're using your references. Go back to that chart if you haven't memorized the vocab. So you want to say it. Oh man, what is that? Go back and look at the objects. It's the target of the act of the feeling, hate. So you know it's a target. You know it's a direct object. Go back and look at that chart. That's going to help you till you memorize it. All right. Est-ce que tu aimes les films amusants? If you want to say, I don't love them. D'accord? Here you have to know that it's plural. D'accord? And you see that with les. D'accord? So that means look back at your chart. Les is the word for them. Non, je ne les aime pas. D'accord? In several classes, I had you guys repeat je ne les aime pas because that's also very helpful for remembering word order, is get the rhythm to it. Je ne les aime pas, je ne les aime pas, je ne les aime pas. All right, step 6 is I'm going to give you activities that have certain words on it. So I might write you love me. Translate that sentence for me. Your question should be, which you do I use? Because French has 2 different words for you. They've got tu and te, and they've got vous, which is also vous as an object. So I'm going to write next to tu, sing fam. Cool. Sing fam stands for singular familiar, and that's when I want you to use tu, because that's when you're talking to one person, singular, and familiar. It's someone you're comfortable with, a friend, someone your age, etc. You might also see next to vous, next to you, form plur. That stands for formal / plural. Because remember, vous can be used in the formal if you're speaking to an adult or someone that you're supposed to have social distance with, in the sense of the construct of social distance, not actual 6 feet apart, but that, for example, you and I aren't close friends. So you would say vous with me. D'accord? I'm an adult, though, so I would say tu with you. Then you have to know these 2 symbols. Remember that I gave you the example that in prehistoric times, men were the hunters, so they had the arrows and the spears. D'accord? So that first symbol that looks like it has a spear is masculine. D'accord? And then in prehistoric times, women were the gatherers, so it looks like she's got 2 arms out to carry baskets, and that is feminine. D'accord? Okay. Now, finally, you should be able to make your own sentences. I'm just going to give you the answers here. Cool. I'll talk through them just a tiny bit. So you see I love you. You should be able to say right away, oh, my sentence starter is I. So if you don't remember the word for I, go back to that first chart. That's your sentence starter. And then the verb is love. Cool. I gave you the verb. It's there. And I also give you the word order because I put the blanks in that way. So you're going to choose the word for you. Look at it. It says, I just wrote I meant to write je. I meant to write je. So you're going to write vous, because that's what you see in your chart. All right. Next, you have you, sing fam, eat it. So you is the sentence starter. Go to the first grille, the first chart there, and look for the singular familiar. That's tu. And then it, you notice that it has the little symbol next to it. That's the feminine symbol. So it should be tu la manges. Tu la manges. Okay, next you have we see it. We, you should be able to see. Starts the sentence. Actually, we and us is always going to be new. It doesn't matter if it's a subject or object. And then look for it in the masculine. So you've got le, nous le voyons. She loves me. All right, she, elle, me. Make sure you're not pulling from the subjects. Me is the target of love. So that's me. They love him. Now, notice that it's they masculine. You do have to watch out for those things. So you've got il in the plural, right, because it's they. And love him, that's going to be le. Okay. You hate me. You've got the formal plural, so that you should know is vous. And me, you can find as the object, the target. Et voilà. So I hope that review was good for you. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Merci beaucoup.